Hi, I have here with me Dr. Aaron Black. He's going to be our featured speaker at the spring event coming up on May 11th that EGPS, which is Eastern Group Psychotherapy Society, is hosting. And just to tell you a little bit about Dr. Aaron Black, and welcome,
Glad to
Aaron.
be with you.
It's good to have you here. Just to tell you a little bit about him, Dr. Black is a faculty member of the Center for Group Studies in New York City. He's on the board of AGPA. His most recent publication is entitled On Attacking and Being Attacked in Group Psychotherapy, which appears in the July edition of the International Journal of Group Psychotherapy. Dr. Black is in private practice in Rochester, New York, where he teaches, supervises, and works clinically with individuals, couples, and groups. So welcome. It's great to have you here. And I thought this would be a good opportunity for you to share with us a little bit about your talk, a little preview. I'd like to, if you just have a few words to say about your talk, what people can expect when they come on May 11th.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to be with you, and I'm really looking forward to the talk itself. The talk is going to be loosely based on the paper. It isn't going to be an exact run-through of the same content, but there's going to be quite a bit of overlap. So I'm really going to be focusing on moments of collision between group members, not aggression in general. Although I'll talk a little bit about aggression in general. I'm particularly interested in verbal attacking in all its forms, and how group leaders can transform those moments into clinically useful moments rather than destructive moments in the group process. So the talk's going to include, I'm not sure about the time frame quite yet, but maybe half an hour, 40 minutes of a didactic talk, followed by a demonstration group and then a large group discussion. And it's going to be an opportunity to present some theory, and hopefully we'll see it in the demonstration group, or resistances to it anyway. And then we'll have a chance to talk. And I'm particularly looking forward to the post-demo group part of the presentation, because it really gives people a chance to talk more openly about the challenges and the opportunities for working with aggression and conflict and what I'm calling verbal attacking in group.
It sounds like it'll be a really great opportunity for everybody who comes there to learn some of these tools and ways of working with their groups. I'm also interested in learning how you got interested in this topic. It's kind of something that, in my mind, a lot of group therapists would avoid the idea of allowing verbal attacks in group. I mean, I think it might even be one of the rules that group therapists start with, in addition to on time attending,
Be nice to the other group members.
So you have this fresh approach, and so how did you come to this? This way of thinking about it, using it productively rather than avoiding it altogether.
Right. Well, like any group therapist, of course, I've done both. I've under-attended to this and I've over-attended to it. But I would say there are probably two primary reasons. Having led group for many years, groups that don't have enough aggression available to them lack passion and tend to be highly constricted. And groups that have too much unregulated aggression, tend to be destructive to the group, to the membership, and ultimately to the group's viability as a whole. And so, I think partly I've become interested in it because I've made so many mistakes and had to learn the hard way how to work with these difficult moments with my groups. And also, I'm really interested in a certain paradox about aggression. It's like a life force, it's like a life energy in its healthy form, and it's horrendously destructive in its more toxic form. And yet, in reality, the energy is really the same. It's how that energy gets played out behaviorally, verbally, against other people and against ourselves. So trying to channel that energy to create passion rather than destruction is really what got me interested in the topic.
Hmm. It makes me think about like conflict. Conflict is something everybody lives with daily, and a lot of people are, averse to conflict. And yet the more you learn how to deal with it, the better you're able to, deal with day-to-day conflicts, which just crop up in most situations with people or work related stuff. So it seems to me that this would be, a very healthy thing, just like other work that's done in therapy, both with individuals and groups, learning how to deal with conflict. So this is a particular kind of, more challenging type of conflict.
Yeah, most of us, I don't know about you, Marian, but for me, growing up, nobody ever taught me how to fight well. Nobody ever taught me, meaning how to fight constructively, so that I'm using that aggressive energy to represent myself and my needs without harming anybody. I was never taught that. This is something I've had to develop in adulthood, and I'm still working on.
Yeah, many of us, myself included, we haven't had the greatest models, growing up. And I think that, or just maybe our people who have been around us, they haven't had the greatest modeling themselves, so it gets passed on. And so learning how to, modeling for our patients or group members is just a great way to build those skills, like strengthen those muscles, those conflict muscles.
Exactly.
Is there something that some little example you could give us about how you work with, a verbal attack? If you want to just share a vignette. I know you're really going to get into this at the time of your talk at the spring event, but if there's it doesn't even have to be a vignette, just something you want to share about a productive way to work with it, the productive way rather than the destructive way, which most people are afraid will happen.
Well, in the paper that you referenced, there's a very toxic clinical exchange where two members get into a verbal altercation, and the male member is highly verbally abusive with the female member in this particular group. And in that particular instance, because there's a lot to say about this topic, but in that particular instance, I really, in some ways, just acted like a good father, in the sense that I matched his aggression without using any kind of toxic language, and told him that we could tell he's angry, but I wanted to know what other feelings he was having. But I said it in a very, very forceful way where I matched him just slightly beneath his intensity. And almost like Beatrice Beebe and her work on regulating infants, we sort of yelled at each other for a while, but we de-escalated over about 10 minutes to the point where he began to cry and start talking about his shame. That's an instance. Often, though, as group leaders, we're also trying to mobilize the group. So that was an example where I really needed to step up as the group leader and set and provide a containing function for this particular group member. But I think we also want to work indirectly with the group as a whole to create an environment where language is valued over action, which creates safety around aggression, and where there's some modeling that takes place about how people can be furious with one another without doing harm. And that's a group as a whole project, not just the therapist.
Yeah, I mean, as I'm listening to you, I'm remembering, a lot of the work done by Beatrice Beebe and others about using your voice to modulate, and the whole, mother-infant or parent-infant work, which talks about that. I think that can be applied in our work. It's so important, all these nonverbal, aspects. So you bring all that out in your paper. I'm thinking I can reference your paper as well, maybe in this, issue, so people can read it. So I think we're just about out of time. So I want to thank you so much for sharing with us. And I'm personally really looking forward to talk and, didactic part and demonstration group. And I think all of our audience, they'll be in for a real treat. So the best of luck with this, and I look forward to seeing you in May.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really looking forward to being with all of you.
Thank you. Have a great rest of the day.
You too.
Bye-bye.